Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, October 1st. We kick off a new month and a new quarter of trading today following another record close for the S&P 500 and Dow yesterday and a winning month for the markets. During regular trading, the S&P 500 added 24 points or 0.42%. The Dow grabbed 17 points or 0.04%. The Nasdaq also finished higher by 69 points or 0.38%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. The S&Ps are flat. They're flat to lower, I would say. I mean, they were trading lower all last night, and they opened up with a nice uptick this morning, but those gains weren't able to hold, and they, now we're just trading flat. There's a host of data coming out today on manufacturing and employment's really going to be the focus this week. Fed Chairman Jerome Powell says he sees more rate cuts this year. That's a positive for the markets. Yet, we got to keep an eye on employment because remember, those rate cuts are being done in an attempt to kind of keep employment from unemployment to continue to increase. So we got to keep an eye on the employment data as it comes out. And later this morning, we got some key employment data coming out. What else do we see? McCormick, ticker MKC, they delivered a strong earnings beat this morning. Remember, we got Nike after the bell. Labor unrest continues on the East Coast. Port workers, they went on strike. Now, a lot of firms were preparing for this. They started, getting extra goods, which is why the shipping rates went up recently. But, you are going to see this port strike probably take a little longer than expected. And then, you get the labor unrest going on at Boeing. Boeing's actually working on plans to raise about $10 billion by selling new shares. This is a negative for the stock. The union continues to, weigh concerns, about the pension issues. So that deal doesn't look like it's going to be made anytime soon, but Boeing's got to make a decision. Now, their earnings later this month are not going to be positive. I don't see how they can be. So, the idea here is to know that that once the strike is over with, the negative aspect of Boeing was really, is out of the way, and that way they can get back to making plans. So I like Boeing. I just don't like it today, but I would like it after earnings. That's kind of my idea. PepsiCo, we're talking M&A deals. PepsiCo is in advanced talks to acquire tortilla-chip maker Siete Foods for about a little over $1 billion. And let's face it, why are we seeing some weakness in the market today? Well, Israel launched ground operations into southern Lebanon, which is geopolitical concerns of that escalating larger, that really is causing the markets to have a little bit of concern this morning. Now we got to move over to, what's going on in the market overseas. And, listen, we're talking to DAX. We're looking at Germany and the DAX. The DAX is up 87 points or 0.45%. Now, look at the FTSE. The FTSE's up 40 points or 0.49%. We got the CAC up. CAC has actually turned positive, which is good. It has been lower for most of the morning. It's now up 0.05%. The PMI data came out, in Germany, it fell. The PMI data in France came in a little bit above expectations, but they remain under 50. And 50 is that point where, it's a divergence from expansion to contraction. So those negative PMI data is kind of a concern in Europe. But there is this underlying feeling that they are getting a rate cut coming up at this month's ECB meeting. It's priced like it's actually priced in at over 90%. So yeah, we're very likely to get a rate cut from the ECB later this month, and that is key. Then we're looking over at Asia and seeing what happened in Asia last night. Now, the Nikkei did jump. The Nikkei jumped 732 points. That's 1.93%. Yesterday we saw this big heavy selling pressure. Market was down over 1,000 points. But a weakening yen over was really due to help lift stock prices and equity prices. So the Nikkei needs to have a weakening yen for it to continue to expand, and we did see it weaken. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we did see the Nikkei bounce higher off of that event. Let's talk China. Let's talk Hong Kong. Those markets were closed last night. National holidays. In fact, China, the Shanghai Exchange, that's going to be closed all week, Monday through Friday. Closed. National holidays. So don't expect any updates out of China's exchange data this week. Then we got to take a look at oil now. Oil was down hard this morning. Was down 1.5%, but the gains have tempered. Now we're only down. Now we're only down about 0.7%. You get WTI trading at $67.61, and Brent is at $70.93. Now, Israel's invasion into Lebanon is really causing the markets not to, drop even further. That's kind of a bullish factor. So we're not going to see a huge sell-off. But then again, we get the stockpile estimates from the API coming out this afternoon. And then tomorrow we have the OPEC meeting, and OPEC's going to talk about raising production. The word is a plus 180,000 barrels per day starting in December. That's likely to come out of tomorrow's OPEC meeting, and then tomorrow morning we have the EIA, the official stockpile data. So we got a lot of data coming up on oil that's going to be affecting oil prices that we got to really keep an eye on. But right now we're seeing oil trading lower by about 0.7%. While the Lebanon situation and Israel situation is a concern, oil could go lower. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, as we start this new month and this new quarter, we're trying to keep the momentum going, and we can hear from your opening. There's plenty of news, information, and data to be watching. You're following along with all of it, and throughout the show, we're going to dive into the details today, hear the stories behind the stocks. We're going to first turn to earnings action. You mentioned a few in your opening, so let's get to earnings action. Bill, what is going on there?
Okay, let's take a look at what we have here. First off, we have McCormick, ticker MKC, Michael Kilo Charlie. Listen, they delivered a beat, 16 cents on higher revenue. Pretty good report. You look at the stock this morning, it's up 2.13%. Then we got United Foods, ticker UNFI, Uncle Nancy, Frank India. They beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. You look at that stock this morning, it's up 9.44%. Not bad at all. Upcoming, after the bell, we got Lamb Weston, ticker LW, Larry Williams. Their EPS is 73 cents. Expected move is 11.89%. And then after the bell, we also have Nike, ticker NKE. EPS is 51 cents. Expected move is 7.12%. Lamb Weston had a horrible report last quarter. A lot of it was due to, remember, they make French fries. A lot of it was due to, fast food restaurant sales being, falling off the cliff, and that really affected the prices. But those fast food sales seem to have turned around, especially because McDonald's offered that $5 meal deal, which I think is benefiting them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Lamb Weston delivered a beat. We got to keep our fingers crossed here. But that's what I have for you in terms of earnings announcements, Emily.
I have to note, Bill, that yesterday you closed out September with McCormick as your pick of the day. And by the end of the show, we will check on that pick and also see how September ended up. Before we get there, we have a bunch of information still to get through, including economic events. As you told us, a bunch of data coming out this morning, manufacturing data, jobs data, and some Fed speak. So, Bill, give us a full rundown of what we should be watching when it comes to economic events.
Yeah, there's a lot. The manufacturing index, 10 a.m., that's going to be a big one. That's one, that's one people will be paying attention to. But also at 10 a.m., we get construction spending. And the JOLTS reports, the job openings or report, that's going to be a key one. Now, that's a month lag indicator, but it's still important one to watch. In terms of Fed speak at 11 o'clock, Atlanta Fed Bank President will be speaking. Atlanta Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic will be speaking. He's speaking again at like 11:15. I'm not sure if it's two separate ones or the same one, but Raphael Bostic is speaking this morning. And that's what I have for you in terms of economic reports, Emily.
And Bill, we did learn yesterday that Fed speak can certainly change market sentiment, can bring some momentum. Of course, it can go the other way as well. And you're able to follow all of this, all of these details, the Fed speak, the economic data, and those earnings using your NewsWare. And you still follow other types of information and data coming out of different sectors and segments. This morning, you're looking at things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings. other catalysts. You group your stocks together so you can track trends on the trading day, looking at your FANG stocks grouped together and your Dow 30 stocks grouped together. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Yeah, I'm looking at my Dow stocks and I'm showing a lot of weakness, a lot of red. Apple's leading the move lower, down 1.45%. Boeing's close, only down 0.95%, but we're seeing a lot of red there. You're looking at your FANG stocks, and aside from, Apple, I will say that Meta and Netflix and Tesla are showing some gains. So, that's the reason why we're seeing kind of a flat uh, S&Ps right now. But we're taking a look at some of the news behind the tape, and we're talking Apple and the iPhone demand. That's really what's in question here. Like JP Morgan is out there saying, hey, they see demand coming. They see iPhone demand coming, starting with a slow start, but they expect it to jump as the quarter gets as we get into the quarter. But Barclays is out there saying weakness in the forward demand of iPhones. So we got some kind of divergence there, which is a little bit concerning. Amazon, they won a partial dismissal of a U.S. FTC lawsuit accusing them of maintaining illegal monopolies. Meta Platforms, ticker META, they're going to be expanding production of their headsets in Vietnam. Remember, Meta's headset is like, $350 versus Apple, which is, $3,500. It's such a wide divergence that Meta's gaining all that business in the VR headset program. We're talking Tesla. Tesla got added to Wells Fargo's Q4 technical ideas list. Remember, Tesla does have the robo taxi day. I think it's the 13th of October. We got to keep an eye on that. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks, and we just want to talk about, Amazon, Goldman, however you want to look at it. Goldman Sachs adds Pinterest, ticker PINS, to its conviction list, but they removed Amazon and Guidewire, AMZN, GWRE, Grace William, Richard Edward. They removed Amazon and Guidewire from the conviction list, added Pinterest, PINS, Paul, India, Nancy, Sam. Verizon, ticker VZ, they had a significant network outage yesterday. Service is mainly restored. Stocks trading slightly, fractionally lower this morning. We're talking Boeing, ticker BA. Boeing was reportedly considering $10 billion in new shares in an effort to raise cash as the strike lingers on. I mean, they got to do something. Stocks down 1% this morning because, when you're adding new shares, that's a negative for the stock price, depending on how many they add. $10 billion worth, they need to raise the cash. They got to have cash, otherwise they have a credit rating issue, and they can't afford to have a credit rating issue. We're talking merger news. We're talking PepsiCo, ticker PEP, Paul Edward Paul. PepsiCo's in talks to buy Siete Foods for over $1 billion. Deal could be announced soon. Keep an eye on Pepsi, ticker PEP. And let's talk Ollie's Bargain Basements, ticker OLLI, Oscar Larry India. Okay, they acquired 7 of the former Big Lot stores. Remember, Big Lot went into bankruptcy. They're closing down stores left and right. Well, Ollie's Bargain Basement is expanding. It's kind of a growth, stock, and they're acquiring 7 of those Big Lot stores, which is positive for the stock. We're talking guidance news. We're talking McCormick, ticker MKC. They raised their full year 2024 adjusted guidance to 285 to 290. Street estimate has it at 286. That's a positive. We're talking United Foods, ticker UNFI, Uncle Nancy Frank India, full year 2025 adjusted EPS, very wide, 20 cents to 80 cents. Street estimates at 57 cents. Hard to say. We're talking shareholders events going on. Harmony Biosciences, ticker HRMY, Henry, Richard, Michael, Yellow. They're having an investors day at 8:30 this morning. And Apollo Global Management, ticker APO. They're holding an investors day that just started at 8 a.m. this morning. So that's one to watch for some announcements to come out. Ticker APO, Apple, Paul, Oscar. And then, let's kind of take a look at catalyst calls that are going on today. TNDM, Tom, Nancy, David, Michael, Citibank opens up at 90-day negative catalyst watch on the stock this morning. Not good. Ticker TNDM, Tom, Nancy, David, Michael, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. We've now made it to that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, a new month and a new quarter. How are you going to start us off? What is your pick of the day today?
ConAgra, ticker CAG, Charlie Apple Grace, ConAgra. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is 59 cents. Expected move is 3.84%. Looking at yesterday's call volume, 1,433 calls traded to 1,101 puts. Positive. Looking at open interest is wide. 47,297 calls versus put volume of 23,196. And that's like 2-to-1. That's good. Major brokers have mostly been raising price targets. Wells Fargo did lower their price target, earlier this quarter. But at the beginning of the month of September, Goldman Sachs put it on its conviction list. I like that. So, and then the fact that the other brokers are raising price targets, I could see this one beating, CAG, Charlie Apple Grace, their EPS is 59 cents, is beatable. So, let's keep an eye on Charlie Apple Grace, ConAgra. For me to get in, I'm thinking 32.25. Around that, give or take 10 cents. That's kind of like my opinion right now this morning. That could change as we get closer to the market, but 32.25. That's what I'm looking for as an entry price for ConAgra this morning. Ticker CAG, Charlie Apple Grace, Emily.
ConAgra, it is heading into that earnings announcement tomorrow, as you told us. We will follow that along with you, and coming up, we will do that recap on yesterday's pick of the day, as I promised, another earnings play. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
Palo Alto Networks, ticker PANW, and Deloitte expanding strategic alliance globally. Ooh, that's interesting. Honeywell and Chevron collaborate on AI-assisted issues. Could be something there. NTAP, Network Appliances, Nancy Tom, Apple Paul expands strategic partnership with Google Cloud. Charles Schwab, ticker SCHW, Sam Charlie Henry William. Their CEO is going to retire. This is probably positive for the stock because it is kind of at a 52-week low. They got a successor. He's retiring at the end of the year. Stock really hasn't moved, and it's been a lot of put volume, heavy negative sentiment on the stock over the last quarter, I'll say. CVS, Charlie Victor Sam. Listen, there's news reports out on CVS because remember they had that meeting with the big shareholder yesterday, and they're reviewing their strategic options, and they're even talking about a possible breakup in the stock. CVS, Charlie Victor Sam. Apple may need to turn to China after the India Tata plant fire. Let's see what else we got here. BNTX, Boy, Nancy Tom X-Ray, they're holding an inaugural AI day today. Likely, going to comment on technology is assisting in drug development. Dock workers on the East Coast strike, halting half of the nation's ocean shipping. This is the first large-scale stoppage in nearly 50 years. Drug giant Pfizer sells $3.3 billion stake to Helion. U.S. new vehicle sales in the Q3 seem to be growing at a weaker pace. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into October trading, let's do that check-in on your today's pick of the day. We pointed out earlier in the show was McCormick. As you told us, they did report earnings. The company reported a Q3 EPS of 83 cents. As you told us, that was 16 cents better than the analyst estimates of 67 cents. Revenue for the quarter came in at $1.68 billion, and that just squeaked by the consensus estimates of $1.67 billion. You also gave us that note about their guidance during your NewsWare alerts breakdown. The stock is up this morning. Bill, how did your call work out?
Winner. That's all I can say. The stock opened up $83.15, a little high. Then it fell down to $81.92. Wow, when it broke, when it broke 82, that was really the sweet spot. Now I was thinking 82.70, but I didn't. I waited, and because I did think they were going to beat earnings. I just wasn't 100% convinced, but I kept looking at that, the call put volumes and continued to stay positive. So I stuck with it and I was rewarded. You look at it this morning, the stock's trading 84, 84, it's 84.01 to 84.75 right now. So yeah, that was a 1% winner, whether you got into the opening price or my target price or, lower. I mean, McCormick, ticker MKC, really did come through. Stock's showing a nice strong gain this morning. McCormick, MKC, winner.
A nice win to close out September there. And with that, 20 picks for the month. No real losses. There were 4 flat trades, but typically we throw those out anyway, meaning that for those trades that were wins, that was 100% win rate, tossing out those 4 flat trades. And we will check in with you tomorrow to see how October starts out with today's ConAgra pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow and each weekday morning at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.